But now the operation of my Giulietta's electric seat has become erratic and unreliable. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and the problem is getting worse. The electric seats are both individually controlled by their own control unit, and they are very different from each other as well. This is the control unit, and yes, they can fail. So now it's time to remove the back cover from the control unit to see if anything is damaged, and I'm expecting it will be. Electric seats are a luxury to have in any car, as being able to move your seat to any position at the simple press of a button is convenience at its best. This makes it so easy when you just need to move the seat forwards and backwards, up and down, and in and out. And you can even save these seat position settings as well. So if another driver moves your seat, you can just press a button and your seat will automatically return to the exact position it was in before it was moved. But that's not all, because controlling the temperature of your seat is also possible. Depending on the type of car you have, your electric seat may include many other features as well. In my opinion, electric seats are one of the best features a car can have. That is, until they stop working. Now electric seats are the worst feature a car can have, because trying to move an electric seat when it won't work can become a really big problem. This is my Alfa Romeo Giulietta QV, and because it is a high-spec model, that also means it is supplied from the factory with electric seats as well. And unfortunately, my driver's electric seat has now failed, resulting in intermittent operation, and at times even no operation at all. The reason my electric seat has failed is not uncommon to find on this model, but the problem with it probably won't be what you're expecting either. An electric seat can fail for a few reasons, and some of which can be easy to fix as well, such as a blown fuse, or even a coin or similar object stuck in one of the rails locking up the seat from moving. But it can also be caused by more serious and complex problems as well, such as control unit failure. And yes, that is exactly what I suspect has caused my electric seat to fail. But how can I be so sure this is the problem though? Did I detect this problem through a diagnostic scan? No, unfortunately this problem cannot be detected through a diagnostic scan at all, so you would not find any errors or fault codes if you were to try that. The diagnosis is simply from experience, and the seat's erratic behaviour, which after working on Alfa Romeos for a very long time, I have definitely seen before. So what is the solution to this problem? How can I get my electric seat to work as good as new again? Well, I have two options. Option 1, being the most expensive option, and which will also require diagnostic equipment, as a proxy alignment will be needed as well, is to find a second-hand replacement electric seat control unit. A Google search or eBay is a good place to start. Alternatively, I could source one through an Alfa Romeo parts wrecker as well. Or option 2, fix the faulty control unit. This is by far the cheapest option, but not the easiest for everyone, as you need good electronics knowledge and skills to do it. And that is what today's video is all about. How to fix your faulty Alfa Romeo Giulietta electric seat control unit. But wait, what actually causes this problem? Well, I will explain that later on, but first let's remove the electric seat from the car. The control module is located in here, which, while not impossible, is still easier to access with the seat removed from the car. Now, because the seat is electric, you do not want to disconnect the car battery yet, as you need power to be able to move it. So we start off by getting a T40 e-Torx bit to unscrew each of the 4 bolts holding the seat to the floor. All 4 of the bolts are easy to remove. The rear inner bolt is positioned differently from the rest though, being horizontally mounted. And now we can disconnect the car battery as power is no longer needed. Now we unplug the power connectors from the seat, which are hidden under this panel. For the blue plug, just slide the blue lever sideways and pull up, and then do the same for the grey plug as well, until both have been disconnected. Now we very carefully remove the seat from the car, being extremely slow and careful not to damage the car in any way. Now with the seat removed, it's time to remove the control unit from the seat itself. So to do that, we start by removing the 3 T20 screws, securing the control panel to the seat. There's one screw here at the front, another screw in this middle hole under the cap, and one more screw at the rear of the seat as well. With all 3 screws removed, we now need to slide the cover upwards as it's on hooks as well. And yes, it's tight. Now we unplug the 2 connectors from the control unit. To do that, we just press some lugs on each plug and gently pull. And then to remove the temperature control switch, you just lift up the tab and gently pull on that as well. And now we unscrew the 3 T30 bolts, securing the control unit to the seat to remove it. And that's it. The electric seat control unit is out. We will now remove the back cover from the control unit itself to investigate the suspected problem even further, and to do that we just unscrew these 6 T6 screws using a T6 Torx Allen key. And we are now inside the electric seat control unit. It doesn't smell like anything is burnt, but if your eyes have just spotted what mine have, then that's a miracle, because look what has happened. It has taken a massive blow, which is exactly what I was expecting to see, but I wasn't expecting it to be quite that bad, if I'm honest. As you can see, it has blown the top clean off this component here, which used to be a tantalum capacitor. And it's also been getting very hot around this tantalum capacitor as well, which is also right next to this chip here, and that is concerning. That chip is a voltage regulator. But why is this concerning? Well, for that capacitor to be that black, it's taken a good zapping, so the overall health of this chip now worries me as well. There are no heat spots on the chip, but that still does concern me in regards to long-term reliability. So I would feel a lot better by replacing this chip as well, so hopefully I have one in stock. The circuit board itself, however, does not look damaged, so that should be okay. And now back to the most important question from before: what has caused this to happen? Well, this is actually not uncommon to see. And no, not just on an Alfa Romeo, on many other cars as well. This has once again been caused by poor design quality using low voltage rated components. I don't know why so many car electronic manufacturers keep doing this. They have been doing this for decades, and this can always be the end result. This can happen with any car though. It is not a problem with Alfa Romeo. They are still one of the best European cars you can buy in my opinion, so don't let this put you off ever buying one. There is actually a positive way to look at this as well, because as stupid as it might sound, this electric seat control unit dying is actually good news, because we can fix this problem, making it even better than before by upgrading the components slightly so this won't happen again. So let's do that now. First of all, I'm going to remove this rubber switch pad and these black switch rockers, and to do that I recommend using a thin plastic tool like this. To remove these switch rockers, just insert the plastic tool on the side of the rocker and gently lift. And we need to do this for all of them. They are very easy to remove using a plastic tool like this, so you don't need to worry about them breaking. Now I'm going to remove the damaged components and then clean up the circuit board so I can be 100% sure the PCB is okay. The good news is I also have replacement chips in stock as well, so I'm going to be replacing this voltage regulator chip as well, which I would very highly recommend doing. Okay, everything is now removed and all looks good, so let's start installing the new components. I'm going to start with the worst component of them all, this charcoal tantalum capacitor. This little guy is only rated at 16 volts, so we are definitely going to be replacing him with a higher voltage rated component, such as this one right here. This is a 22 microfarad SMD tantalum capacitor rated at 25 volts, and it's in a Class C package. Class C refers to the overall size of the component, which is important to ensure correct fitment to the circuit board. Upgrading from 16 volts to 25 volts will help to ensure this never happens again. And it's done. Now it's very important to remember that tantalum capacitors are also a polarized component, so be sure to solder around the correct way, which once done will look like this. The red line of the component being the positive side must face this way. And now onto the next tantalum capacitor. This one is also rated at 16 volts, so let's upgrade that to 47 microfarads at 25 volts. Please note this capacitor is also a Class C component, but I only have Class D in stock, so it's a bit bigger in size, but it will still fit. Again, make sure the polarity is the correct way around as well. So that's the second tantalum capacitor replaced. Now let's replace the chip. This is a STL4938ED dual voltage regulator chip, which provides two 5-volt regulated outputs. It is very commonly used in automotive electronics, and yes, it's also polarized, so once again, be sure to install it the correct way around on the circuit board, which when once done will look like this. Pin 1 of the chip, which is here, must face this way. So just as a quick recap, the positive side of the 47 microfarad tantalum capacitor must be facing this way, and the positive side of the 22 microfarad tantalum capacitor needs to face this way. Don't worry about the legs being joined together here on the chip because they are connected together on the circuit board anyway. Sorry I ran out of daylight to film all of the soldering, so I had to rush a bit. But that's it. The electric seat control unit has now been repaired and everything looks good, so let's install it back to the seat. And now everything is back on the seat, we can reinstall the seat back to the car. Of course it pays to always test it before bolting the seat back down to make sure it works first, so we are going to plug it back in. We do still need to secure the seat to the floor at the back before moving it, so we will put the rear seat bolts back in, but not tightly. And now let's reconnect the battery again, and my electric seat is now operating perfectly once again. It only cost about $10 in components to repair this, and no programming was needed either. So now I can finish bolting the seat back to the floor, and the job is finished. Now there is one more important thing I want to share with you. So first of all, both the front electric seats of the Giulietta each have their own individual control unit, and both control units are completely different from each other as well. The circuit board design itself is significantly different between them both, and one of the reasons for that is due to the passenger seat not having the programmable memory settings feature. As you can see, there are no buttons on the passenger seat at all. Only the driver's seat has the programmable memory settings feature, but this difference in design also results in the passenger seat control unit not experiencing this operation failure problem either. I have never seen the passenger seat in a Giulietta fail. It's always the right-hand driver's seat. Of course, if your Giulietta is left-hand drive, then this will be different for you. Okay, so that is how to repair your Alfa Romeo Giulietta electric seat control unit when it has failed due to this problem. It is very common to blame the switches themselves when an electric seat fails, and for very good reason, because faulty electric seat switches with age are also an extremely common problem, but not with the Giuliettas. And that's because the Giulietta switches don't actually have mechanical contacts inside them at all. The way these switches work are by using a contact pad like this that attaches to the circuit board, making them very reliable, so therefore they will never be the problem when it comes to electric seat failure in the Alfa Romeo Giulietta models. At least for now anyway. Just as a final disclaimer, if you are not experienced doing this type of job, I would highly recommend not doing it at all and instead getting a professional to do it for you. Without experience, you could very easily damage your circuit board, turning this problem from a bad but repairable problem into an unrepairable problem. This video is for educational purposes only, remember, so by copying anything you have seen in this video, you are doing it at your own risk and responsibility. And that now brings us to the end of another video. I will leave the details of the components needed in the description area below for anyone who is interested. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share, comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more car tech content just like this, and I hope to see you all in the next video.